Be advised, the opinions and views of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Acupuncture is so deeply rooted in the medicine here, hardly anyone questions whether it works.
You know, if everybody in a culture believes that something's going to work, then it's much more likely to work. And we know that about medicine. If people believe something's going to work, it makes a big difference. It's more likely to have an effect.
A recognition that these herbs might have something special and unique to offer.
During my journey, of course, I began knowing that an ingredient taken from a particular herb could have a medicinal effect. But what's really impressed me has been the way that different ingredients from a particular herb can combine together and have really powerful effects on us humans. So I believe that herbs are going to play a key role in medicines of the future.
What started as an ancient wisdom just might provide new medicines that will help us all live longer, fuller lives.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Philippines Uncut. I'm your host, Buddy Kunanan. Now, on this show, we talk about everything under the sun, and tonight's topic is about health and wellness. Now, folks, this show is very timely because we are undergoing some sort of health crisis in society today. I'm sure that most people have observed that so many people seem to be falling ill nowadays. For instance, in the past, incidences of heart disease and cancer were few and far between. These days, heart disease is the #1 killer in many parts of the developed world, and you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who hasn't lost a friend or a relative or a family member to cancer. Now, in desperation, so many people are turning to alternative medicine for cures. And tonight, we are going to talk about how we can all stay fit and healthy and live longer with alternative medicine. And joining us is a alternative medicine practitioner, Mr. Oscar Sangalang.
Yeah, good evening.
And welcome to Philippines Uncut, sir. It's an honor to have you here. And this is a topic that really interests me because I am really a big alternative medicine, alternative therapy advocate. Now, let's talk about you first, Oscar. Tell us a bit about your background.
By profession, I'm a chemical engineer. I work with a big beer company for the past 28 years. And in this process, being an employee of this big company, I enjoyed the best medical hospitals, for example, the best doctors. But I had the sinus for 30 years, which hadn't been cured by Western medicine. So I went to alternative medicine and I tried all other bizarre ways of curing this sinusitis, and up to a point that I met this neuromuscular therapy, and with one session I was cured.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. So as you mentioned, you'd been living with this acute sinusitis for so long, and as you said, you had access to the best modern Western medical care, but it didn't seem to go away. Yeah. And then in one session, gone.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing story. Now, let's talk about, let's define first for our viewers, what is alternative medicine?
Alternative medicine is a practice of healing an ailment or a disease with a process that is outside the realms of Western medicine. It's not something that is studied and included in the curriculum of a medicine course, for example. And maybe it focuses on the traditional medicine of the place. For example, just like in the Philippines, we have the babaylans, the healers before.
Yes, yes.
For example, it may be folkloric, for example, the shamans in Peru, for example. And it also focuses on new technologies that are discovered now,
Yes,
which are outside the realms of Western medicine.
Yes, yes. And, and that really is what we're talking about here. We're talking about folk remedies, folk therapy. Now, for a long time, Western medicine has had a monopoly on the health or the safeguarding the health of people. But if you watch like the first in our OBB, we had this video, and the lady there was talking about like in China, like acupuncture is practice that people believe it and everyone uses it, and for many people it does seem to work. So really there is a difference between let's say folk remedies and conventional Western medicine. Now, before we go into the difference between the two and the clash, sometimes there is a clash, let's talk about you. What got you into alternative medicine in the first place? Because coming from someone with a science background, chemical engineering, and now you are an alternative medicine advocate, that is a jump from the left brain to the right brain or something like that.
Yes,
So
actually it completes the cycle, no?
Yeah.
From coming from the left brain to the right brain, as you said. No? Before retiring, no? 2 years before retiring, I was advised by many of the healers that I met that I could heal. But I told them how. No, I don't know. I don't know. It's quite awkward for me because I had a nice position to protect it when I was in that company. But they said that little by little it's already in me, built-in knowledge that I have. And whenever I encounter something of a disease, for example, I know deep within me what to do.
Wow.
So what I did was to study.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how did your colleagues in this company know that you had the ability to heal? Did you heal some of your co-workers, for instance, or how did they find out?
At first, I was reluctant because I would not be branded as Mang Kepweng or something of that sort.
Albulario.
Yeah. But little by little, as I meet circumstances, no? For example, from simple headache to simple pain, I was able to address some of my friends' problems.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you known that you have had this gift of healing? Was it something that you realized at an early age, or you had an inkling, maybe at an early age, that you could somehow heal people?
No, when I was healed of my acute sinusitis, that's when I learned that I could heal. No? And little by little, I tried to gain knowledge on how I would do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you spoke about studying alternative medicine. I mean, like, because where did you go to study this, and how long did you take, and did this take for you? And what did you study exactly?
Since it was neuromuscular therapy that has cured my sinusitis, I started on neuromuscular therapy, no? And this therapy is works on the principle that hard muscle is the source of pain. And if you identify a hard muscle, it contains lactic acid in it. And if you try to soften this muscle, the lactic acid will dissipate, ergo the pain will be gone.
Yes.
No? And you can see it. You can see the results by how the muscle would react. No? And I studied this under a special teacher, and I spent around 1 year being in a clinic, for example, and there I saw different cases addressing different diseases through neuromuscular therapy.
And I assume when you say neuromuscular therapy, it also has something to do with the circulation in the body, the circulatory system.
Yeah.
Now, okay.
The fact that these muscles are black, these muscles are hard, this prevents the circulation in the body. So, and lack of circulation is a cause of the disease, whatever disease it is.
Yes. Now, who approaches you for treatment, or do you have a clinic? Do you have a set practice? How do people approach you?
No, I used to work in a clinic before, but then I started on my own. I accept house calls, no? And this has spread the word. And people who have, for example, felt relieved by what I did, they spread the word. For example, I met an executive of a big cigarette company who had back pains and could hardly move.
Cigarette company, huh?
Yeah, yeah. And he came to me and he asked if I could relieve him of his pain because he could not stand or he could not sit for a long time.
Okay.
When after the 1 hour and 20 minutes therapy, he stood up and he was already smiling. And he said, "Thank you because I didn't have any more pains." No? One thing that that man did not come back. I never saw him again. But I was amazed that other people referred by him came to me. You know? They came to know of what I did to that man, and they too would want to have the same treatment.
What kind of ailments have you cured or have you treated?
Specifically,
Your forte.
yeah, specifically it's about strokes, no?
Okay.
Because stroke is predominantly there's a problem in the blood circulation of the body because of the obstacles that
Oxygen deprivation
yes.
and all that, yeah.
And because of this, for example, Western medicine would electrocute all these muscles, and the more it becomes hard, and the more it's difficult to treat. You know? And for me, for example, a stroke, a 1-year stroke victim, for example,
Because a stroke, when someone suffers a stroke, usually the most common effect is like part of the body or certain movements are paralyzed,
Paralyzed,
or they can't move them very well. The
Yeah.
facial muscles, for instance, or maybe
Yeah.
part of the limbs or the arms, something like that. So
Yeah.
what happened in this case of yours?
now, for example, I had this 63-year-old man who used to walk with a cane, no? And I saw him along the road because I do jogging every day, and he was trying to make exercise also in the morning. And I approached him and I said, "Can I do something about you?" No? And we had 2 sessions every Tuesday.
Okay.
And after 2 sessions, he came back without a cane. I said, "What happened?" I said, I don't need it anymore. I said, "I can walk."
What was the difference? I'm sure this man probably saw a Western-trained doctor who recommended, okay, we'll have some physical therapy,
Yeah.
we'll prescribe you some medicine, but he probably had all this, and still he was he had this mobility function. He couldn't move very well, paralyzed, as you said. Part of his body was paralyzed. So, what happened? How were you able to fix it?
No, as I said, the problem is that a stroke victim has hard muscles. And once these hard muscles are identified and softened, it will become a normal muscle. No? And once it becomes normal, the circulation is improved. And you see that all the other body functions are improved also. And for example, I advise that person, for example, that since he had this problem with the blood circulation, I advise him to sleep, for example, at 10 o'clock. But before he used to sleep 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And I said, if you try the suggestion that I have to sleep at 10 o'clock, this will give opportunity for the heart to repair itself.
Yes.
So he tried it for a month, and great improvements were seen in his body.
How did you soften the muscles? What technique did you use?
Well, I just do the pounding like this.
Okay.
And people would think that it's not the hard or how soft that I pound on it. It's because the muscle is composed of molecules, atoms, and I communicate with the muscle and to soften up.
No, but how is this different from what, let's say, a physical therapist would do?
No, a physical therapist would just rub it. No?
Yes, kind of stretch it.
Yes,
and,
yeah.
there, sure.
And maybe you'll feel relief because during the process, the brain would send endorphin to the muscle and the pain is gone. But after 3 hours, the pain is back. Now, unlike neuromuscular therapy, where once it is softened, it will never revert back to the old hard muscle that it was. And it is a guarantee that I give to my clients.
Have you seen this man since then, this 63-year-old
Yeah,
man?
I see him every Tuesday.
But he's totally fixed. I mean, his body functions have returned to normal and all that.
Yes. And he's happy
Amazing.
that he can do everything that he wants to do.
Yeah, amazing. How long have you been doing alternative medicine treatment?
For 6 years already that I've been practicing it.
Now, what is the reaction of your friends? I mean, especially your colleagues from the beer company, probably saying a big shift from professions.
They're amazed. Maybe at times they would just ask me if I am the one being therapied because of my age. When I tell them that I'm doing therapy, they would think that I am the one receiving the therapy. No? But when I explain that I am the one
You're the one healing people.
Yeah, healing people, they would not believe it. They would just be amazed of what I do. And also for them, it's a surprise of this shift, no?
Yes,
Knowing
of
that I am
course.
that chemical engineer person, then doing this healing.
Oh, it's a gift, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the first part of the program, I talked about so many people falling sick nowadays.
Yeah.
Why are so many, I mean, how come this is happening? How come we seem to have a spike in the incidences of people falling ill? And I'm not talking about old people, also young people these
Yes,
days.
yeah.
I mean, in way back when, in the old days, as I mentioned before, when like cancer, heart disease, this happened to people in their 60s or 70s, and now you have people in their 30s, in their
Yeah.
early 40s getting sick of this. What is going on, Oscar, in society?
No, just look at the lifestyle that we have now. I mean, before people would sleep 7, 8 o'clock. Now people sleep 1, 2 o'clock. No? It's a big difference. No? And for example, when I meet with my clients, I would always ask them several questions.
Okay.
And for example, I ask them, do you have a cell phone?
Okay, I think most of us have cell phones.
Yeah.
What does this have to do with health?
Well, if cell phone signals would penetrate a cement wall, how much more our body?
Okay.
So that affects our toxins in the body, toxicity, for example.
Toxicity.
Yeah.
Okay.
The same is true with the remote. It can penetrate a barrier, and it can penetrate also our body. So another toxin added to the system.
But what is the effect of all these unseen rays and unseen signals that obviously pass through walls and pass through our bodies? What is the effect
It
of this?
increases the toxin level in our body, and as we know, the sickness is caused by the presence of all these toxins. No, just like for example, if our physical body we have to clean up every day, also the inside body should be cleaned at least once a year.
Detoxification.
Yeah, detox. Yeah.
Now, what are the other, so you mentioned cell phones
Yeah.
and remote controls and
Yeah.
possibly internet also,
Yeah.
right? I mean, are there other things that are...
Yeah, if you, for example, dine in a fast food restaurant at least once a month.
Once a month?
Yes.
Okay.
Because all foods that is served in a fast food restaurant is microwave. And anything that is microwave is garbage food. It
Why is
doesn't-
that? How come? I mean, when you microwave something, isn't it you just heat it up so you can make it more more delicious?
The microwave will make the molecules of the food rotate at a higher speed, and it destroys other vitamins and supplements in it. And you eat basura.
Really?
Yeah.
So in effect, it really neutralizes all the nutrients and all the vitamins and all the good stuff in the food.
Yeah.
Is in effect destroyed.
Useless, yeah. For example, I know of young mothers who would heat water through microwave for feeding meal. And
Wow.
yeah, and you're feeding your baby with dead water, and what do you expect the child to be? That's why there is a rush of ADHD among children.
Yes. Now, you said fast food at least once a month, but
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who eat fast food every day.
Yeah, but we can do that every day, but at least we clean ourselves. That's the
Yes.
process of detox. No?
But okay, another problem we have here is that you mentioned cell phones,
Yeah.
and I assume also internet,
Yes.
wireless internet,
Yeah.
and remote controls. The problem here is that people use these for everyday
Yeah.
life,
Yeah.
for work. It's something. I mean, these things have become indispensable almost to our lives.
Yeah.
How do you now do without these? How do you strike a balance?
No, it's not doing away with this. No? Knowing that these things accumulate the toxins in us, we have to do something to eliminate the toxins. No? But if we just use it without any thinking that it's causing something. For example, just if you find a place where there is a cell phone antenna,
Yes.
observe the people around that area. See that most of
Wow.
them are sickly. Yeah.
A cell site.
Yes.
Holy mackerel. Oh my
For
gosh.
example, another cause of our disease is the Nawasa water that we bathe with.
Okay.
Yeah, it's heavily chlorinated.
Yeah, but it's not like you drink it, you just use it to bathe. What's
Yeah.
wrong with that?
No, the skin is the largest organ that we have. And you put this water in our skin, and all the toxins comes into the skin. No? Maybe, does it mean that we should not take a bath anymore? No. no? But knowing that this contributes to the toxin level in the body, we should be aware to remove also that toxins periodically.
What about things like soft drinks, Gatorade, sugary drinks, alcohol? What do you have to say about these
Well,
things?
you know that, for example, there's a controversy in the sugar thing. No, other people would prefer light drinks, for example, or the zero thing. That
Yeah, Coke Zero.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, sorry. Sugar-free
Yeah, yeah.
drinks that have used sugar substitutes.
But that is worse because they use aspartame, and it's a derivative of a worse element, no? Used in embalming our when we are dead.
Formalin.
Yeah, formalin.
Okay.
And to think that you're still alive and you are embalming yourself, that's quite unacceptable for me.
Do you drink soft drinks?
No?
So if you had a choice between, let's say, a sugar-free soft drink and one that was like with sugar,
I would take those with sugar, but just as,
Anytime.
yeah,
over the one that has
Yes.
these sugar substitutes.
yeah.
What about alcohol?
Alcohol, I think I always believe that always in moderation. No? Everything that's taken moderately that will not harm. For example, if you take red wine, that's rich in antioxidants, so it's good for the health.
Yes, yes. Now, what do you mean by moderation? Define moderation.
Well, anything that you do excessively, no? For example, food. If you eat too much fat, for example, maybe we can eat a small portion. That would be enough. No?
Let's talk about, let's say, alcohol, because people say that one glass is okay, one glass of red wine is okay, and it's fine. What do you tell your patients? Like, how much alcohol do you recommend, like, for those who are drinkers?
No,
How much, if they should drink, how much should they drink?
You see, now the Philippine environment, drinking is really doing it excessively, no? But I would always say that maybe a drink or two would, for example, beer, a bottle or two would be enough.
Okay. Smoking, absolutely no.
No.
Okay. Now, for bathing, you mentioned, let's go back to bathing.
Yeah.
What can people do? Because I think we all have our water supply from pretty much the same source.
Yeah, yeah.
What can we
but
do
if,
to
for example,
avoid
if
that?
you just let the water that you use for bathing to stand for about an hour, for example, it will eliminate the chlorine. Chlorine will escape through the water and less toxins. But if you, as I said, you just be aware that you are taking in toxin because of that water, so you just address that removal of toxin at one time in your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Canned goods?
No, preservatives and no.
So really, what you espouse also is a complete, holistic, healthy approach to living. You mentioned earlier, get enough sleep, get enough nutrition, stay away from artificial, let's say, with preservatives or things like that. So this is really what your method of healing is all about.
Yeah, yes. And maybe I can expound more on that sleep, no?
Please.
Our body has its own biological clock. For example, for those who have something already of the heart, the liver, the spleen, and the lungs, and pancreas, people who have something in this organ should sleep already at 10 o'clock.
Why 10?
11, 12, 1, 2. Why
Okay.
10? Because in these hours, these organs regenerate itself. So if you have something that's bad going on in these organs and you do not allow these organs to regenerate, things will become worse.
And so this actually debunks that whole thinking that, okay, I'll sleep at 12 or I'll sleep at 2. Anyway, I can wake up at
No.
6 or 7. I'll sleep late.
Just you can prove that with these people working in telephone
Call center.
call centers, and you look you think of the population. They're mostly sick with TB, heart, pancreas, and liver.
Yes, aside from not getting enough sleep, most of these people who work in call centers actually live very unhealthy lives because what kind of food do you have available at hour? You end up eating garbage, you end up loading up on caffeine, loading up on soft drinks,
Alcohol.
smoking. Now, okay, what about coffee? Is that something that you...
No, there are various researches on coffee, no, and possibly it's good for the heart. But again, I go to my rule, no. everything in moderation. Maybe I used to take 10 cups a day. Maybe I take 2.
Now, what about prescription drugs?
Yeah, that's the #1 cause of sickness in the liver. No, any time that I see a person who has something in the liver, it's due to drugs that have been taken in the past. And
Like?
maybe, for example, the drug is for the heart, it's for the lungs, but it has side effect on the liver because everything is thrown out in the liver.
We're talking about maintenance drugs here.
Yes,
Maintenance drugs, statins, and
Yeah, even
blood pressure
aspirin, for
drugs.
example.
Aspirin is
Yeah,
bad?
yeah. Because all the negative things are put in the heart, in the liver, so it affects the liver. Anything that you as prescription drugs, it has an effect on the liver. And I sad that doctors would not explain it that way. Maybe they are addressing a cure in the heart, but
They're destroying another organ in the
Yes,
process.
yes.
Okay, hold that thought, Oscar, because we're going to talk about detoxification when Philippines Uncut returns. So, guys, don't go away.
Believes that something's going to work, then it's much more likely to work. And we know that about medicine. If people believe something's going to work, it makes a big difference. It's more likely to have an effect.
A recognition that these herbs might have something special and unique to offer.
During my journey, of course, I began knowing that an ingredient taken from a particular herb could have a medicinal effect. But what's really impressed me has been the way that
We advise if the opinions and views of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
different ingredients from a particular herb can combine together and have really powerful effects on us humans. So I believe that herbs are going to play a key role in medicines of the future.
What started as an ancient wisdom just might provide new medicines that will help us all live longer, fuller lives.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Philippines Uncut. I'm your host, Buddy Kunanan. Now, on this show, we talk about everything under the sun, and tonight's topic is about health and wellness. Now, folks, this show is very timely because we are undergoing some sort of health crisis in society today. I'm sure that most people have observed that so many people seem to be falling ill nowadays. For instance, in the past, incidences of heart disease and cancer were few and far between. These days, heart disease is the number.
Acupuncture is so deeply rooted in the medicine here, hardly anyone questions whether it works.
You know, if everybody in a culture